It's time. It's time to. Oh, am I live? Oh, I am. Oh. Hey. Yeah. Deacon for the band here. How's it going? You know, some people. I don't know. I think that some people just want to be stupid at this point. Um. Uh. I want to go somewhere. Blah, blah, blah. Wow. Words are difficult. So, this one person was commenting. A lot of people have been commenting on various videos, as they do, which is great. Love content. I love the comments. It's one person saying that God is self-evident. It's not really up for debate. And your ability to debate depends on God. So he's a precept. And there's stupid monkey philosophy. Amazing. Yay. How's it going, eh? Well, it's going good, dude. Glad you guys are here, or girls, or robots. I don't want to assume anything. Yeah, I just realized I don't even have the comments on screen. You know, that's how good of a person I am. I'm just amazing. All right. Is that big enough to see on yours guys' this side? I'm not sure. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, just a little bit bigger. That's probably good. Yeah, that seems like it should be okay. If not, complain about it. All right. What reason is there assumed to be considered true or false without first assuming order? Now, this comment came from, I guess, because I said this person said there's order in the universe, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Because like the universe is orderly. In what way is the universe orderly? That doesn't really make sense. That statement doesn't really follow. It does. It's not. You can't just say stuff, but it doesn't matter because he's a presuppositionalist. Because you can't. It's God's self-evident. No, it's not. You believe that, but it isn't the case because people believe in different types of gods, and some people don't believe in God at all. So clearly, God is not self-evident. Also, it not being truly up for debate. Well, if there was actual evidence for it, sure, but there isn't. So, you know. Anyways, I call them out on being a precept. Um, and then this other thing, uh, I told him that he was going to be banned if he kept being presuppositionalism. I think he did kind of. So he did. God is simply not up for debate. Uh, okay, so he's a preceptor, but I'm not going to ban him. I'm just going to ignore him because I don't want his silly comments removed. He said everything takes faith. Oh, here we go. Ah, yes, the equivocation. Ah, yes. Uh, you could all be guys with AI robot girlfriends. Yeah, you could be. Sure. Whatever floats your boat. I'm not here to judge unless it's logic, then I'm definitely judging. So no, nothing takes faith unless what does faith mean? And then we get into this whole problem. Well, what do you mean by faith? But no, it doesn't. Science cannot prove anything 100%. That so what? It's not relevant. It's said that only math proves 100%. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It does indicate strongly that stuff is true, so we have at least a system, whereas you don't. You can't know for sure. Okay, so, and what's your argument? This is why gravity is called a theory. See what I mean about trying to be stupid? You know, you don't know what the word theory means. Like, in science, obviously. Have you seen the Polar Express? The fuck. seeing isn't believing, but believing is seeing. Yeah, the Polar Express is a fucking kids movie, and it's wrong. It's trying to make the point that believing in Santa Claus is good. By the way, I hate all the Santa Claus movies that do this because they give that piss poor message to kids that believing is seeing. It's completely ass backwards. But anyways, and I said, faith is belief without evidence. And I said, he said, you're describing blind faith. And I'm like, that's the only time of evidence that exists for God. The heavens declare his glory. So he's right back to the Bible. I asked for facts. He said that, all the things in the Bible are true. Cool. All right. So I said Genesis it gets wrong everything we know about cosmology and planet formation and how stars and lights function. Not to mention biological evolution negating both Adam and Eve. You realize Genesis is not meant to present complex science. So you mean the Bible is wrong then? Because Genesis doesn't present coherent anything. So it got that wrong then. Now, by the way, it also doesn't say that Genesis is meant to be taken in any way. It doesn't say that. It doesn't tell you. By the way, guys, don't take this as literal what it says. Don't take it literally. It doesn't say that. He says, not sure why God would explain to Moses the deep science behind planet formation. Well, of course, Moses didn't exist, and that's pretty much agreed on by all the smart people out there that study such things. So basically, Moses is not mentioned anywhere except the Bible, and it seems that Moses is an amalgamation. Is that the right word I'm thinking of? Bringing together a bunch of different ideas and tropes together to form a person that didn't exist. His retort, which is great, by the way, is just, of course the Egyptians didn't write about him because they wouldn't want people to know how bad they were. Or, I don't know, maybe if you're Jewish and you don't like the Egyptians, you pretended that they did something bad when they didn't. Like the story of Moses. You just told the story of Moses. Yeah. But who cares? We don't need that, So I said, it's wrong, but it doesn't matter that it's wrong. And then I said, Moses didn't exist. Majority of scholars see the biblical Moses legendary figure. That comes from Wikipedia, which you could question. So here's a couple other links, and that was a Guardian, which you could question. And then Bart Ehrman, Exodus, a myth, more detailed stuff. I said, why wouldn't God explain things to people? Didn't God want us to think it's real? Why make us doubt it, given the Bible is wrong on how everything was made, And then lots of people believe the wrong things due to the wording used. Why is okay with lots of people getting it wrong? So, the Bible's wrong on lots of stuff. Should I grumble about stoning to death? What will it take to shake you out of faith into the facts? Now, normally I don't go full deconverted, trying to deconvert mode on people. Usually I really don't. But this guy, he's asking for it. He's a precept-er, so he's asking for it. He needs it. Well, he's not a full-blown precept, but, he's close enough. Do you think it's helpful to Moses' soul for him to know the biological way plants, animals came about? Yeah, sure. Why not? You'd be dishonest if you say that somehow helps his spiritual understanding. What the fuck is spiritual understanding? How do you know any of this? What are you talking about? He doesn't exist, but who cares about his soul? He said the Bible was never wrong. But then when pointed out it's wrong, you say it doesn't count. Of course he would care about our souls. Giving us a science textbook does nothing for us. It lets us know science. Anyways, I said, here's other things the Bible got wrong. Global flood. Never happened. Tower of Babel didn't happen because that's not how languages are produced. Exodus population numbers are way off scale. Jericho's walls. Yeah, archaeology apparently shows Jericho was not fortified and or abandoned during the period traditionally assigned to Joshua. So that didn't happen. The sun standing still. That doesn't happen. Biology of reproduction. The menstrual bud is impure and also semen contains the entire human essence. Both of those ideas are wrong. Animal kinds and reproduction in general. I forgot about the zebra. I should have mentioned that. Whatever. Cosmology of the heavens. Big old glass dome. Also, the world is shaped like an ice cream cone. And the census of Aquarius. Luke places this, during when Harold Great was alive, but a census occurred in 60, about a decade after Harold died. So no records support Luke's timeline. Whoops, who cares? Census logistics. Luke's claim that everyone had travel, but Roman censuses were local and property based. Whoops, massacre of the instance. And Matthew describes Harold slaughtering infants, but nobody mentions this. Even Josephus, who clearly cataloged Harold's atrocities. Oopsie daisy! Zombie resurrection in Matthew. Zombies. Bleeping zombies. Sure, why not? Darkness over the whole land. 3 hours of darkness during crucifixion. The solar eclipse can't last that long and can occur during Passover, which happens at full moon. Now, to be fair, by the way, to this, if it was a full moon, it might have been a blood harvest, red moon. And so when they say it was dark, they might be referring to that. And that could last 3 hours or more. But it still would not, but they don't make it clear that it's that type of darkness, So, anyways, I said, not at all important, though, because it's about the soul, not being about right. Facts, who needs them? Oh, yeah, also the trial procedure of Jesus, genealogies of Jesus, geographical errors, expedition of eminent end times, ascension cosmology, and Jesus is described as physically ascending upwards into heaven. Bonus, how does a full living body exist in the timeless, spaceless realm that God is said to be by modern apologists? Don't worry about it. Anyways, so how are you? You were saying about no errors again? And he said, I strawman these. I need to research the Christian side of this more. Oh, yeah, the Christian side that ignores everything that's factual. You mean that side? Yeah. Anyways. Anyways, so people are just trying to be stupid, I guess. That's my conclusion. I want to be wrong. That's what they're saying in their brain. I need to be wrong. And, I'm going to do everything that I can to be wrong. I got mentioned by somebody that this I won't cover per se in full. But they were looking, it is on the subject of being dumb is easy and learning is hard, which is what I'm naming this video, hangout, whatever this is. And somebody was saying, I'm really getting irritated that people aren't giving me evidence for macroevolution. And I'm like, well, and so I thought about different ways I could respond because I was tagged for, even though my thing is informal logic, not science, but okay, I can hook you up with people that know science, I suppose. I can use, Google, I could use ChatGPT, but so can you. So what have you done to look into the matter? He said he researched it. I don't believe him. I just don't. I don't think that he researched it. All of the biologists, all evolutionary biology, well, not all biologists, but all evolutionary biologists agree with, will tell you, will say and agree upon macro micro evolution. If you believe in one, you believe in the other. If you think one is true, you think the other is true. And there's no controversy on this. There's no doubt. There's ample evidence for it. So I just don't believe that he researched it. What I do think that he did in his mind is research, where he maybe looked at a couple of apologetic websites or just Googled it, didn't find anything that he felt like reading, and gave up. Or he remembers loose things that he looked at, and to him, that's research. But when I say the word research, I think reading a book, reading a couple books, looking through some scientific papers, getting actual research. But I just don't believe it, because we have at our fingertips the world's knowledge through Google Scholar, Google, other search engines, whatever. And yeah, ChatGPT, even though that's, it can be very wrong, extraordinarily wrong. But at least it's something to start with. Even Wikipedia is something to start with. And now there's going to be a new Wikipedia. There's already competition to Wikipedia out there. So cool. More ways to get some knowledge. But if you're determined to not learn, then you're not going to learn. I looked at a couple memes, and that was my research, some of the good stuff's hidden behind paywalls, and you need to know how to get around them. There's lots of ways to legally get around paywalls. So, and then I have a bunch of different search engines that I don't really use, but I have them bookmarked in case I need them. There's an academic search engine. There's research papers I've got bookmarked. I've got a government portal for science bookmarked. Different a thing to search for PDFs of various sort. Another BASE, which is Bayfield Academic Search Engine, and more things like this. Like if you want to find stuff, you can, and if you want to find out how to find stuff, you can, and it's not impossible. It's not difficult. So I just, when he said that, I was like, why are you expecting random people online to educate you on this matter? Why are you asking the atheist to do this task for you? You should know this. Like, okay, my school sucked. We didn't cover diddly squat, and what we did cover, I don't remember. So they weren't very good. Not everybody's had access to education in the way that they should have. But thankfully, I was always interested in science, and what science education I did have was enough to not make me believe in, and plus I was never exposed to creation nonsense, thankfully. So I never even thought about any of that. Didn't even come up until I was older and wiser, perhaps. But I just looked at it and was like, yeah, science says it's true. I'm good. And that was when I was a Christian. And as a skeptic, I'm like, well, maybe I should learn some of this stuff, because I don't want to just believe that it's true. I want to know if it's true. Hey, yes, guess why scientists say it's true? Because it's true. Oh my God, Anyway, so there and so I did walk him through a thought experiment, which I thought was, it's not actual, but it's something to understand macro to micro evolution, maybe, which was I basically had this thought experiment set up where if we had enough time, a few million years, maybe a little bit less, depends on how much wiggle room we're giving ourselves to biologically, mess with them. We could turn cats into something that resembled not bats per se, but some sort of weird flying creature. Whether they could actually fly or more like glide is a different problem. But and this was just purely from breeding and waiting for mutations to happen and then picking the ones that mutated. But yeah, you could do it. You get cats with smaller legs that are connected, that their skin is connected, and then you just get more connected skin over time. Cats that jump further and are lighter, and you get the cats that have heads that are more aerodynamic and less fur, and eventually you're gonna get something that can jump and glide around decently enough, and it's not gonna look like a cat anymore. I don't know what the hell you'd call it. I said it's fly cat, but it wouldn't breed with the original cats, it wouldn't make offspring. And so that there you go. That's what it is. They're still cats though. They never stopped being a cat. You didn't make it into a bat. You could maybe make it into something that looked like a bat if you really, really, really try. Now, of course, if you allow yourself genetic tampering, then you could really do some wild stuff with it. But anyways, what was the other comment that I got that was just so beautiful? I'm trying to find it. This was good. This is all from the Nate book thing. So it's just got some real winners commenting on this one, I guess. Not being able to see the design in the universe is crazy. Oh man, it's a crazy thing to say. Hold on a second. I'll let you read this. Here, Skeptic Philosophy. Read it out loud. Oh, wait, he's not even in here. How's that gonna help? All right, I had to take a drink there. It's so glaringly obvious the universe's structure has design and order. So that's where that order thing came in. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But I said, your method seems to be, it looks like X, so it has to be X. And he said, well, it follows strict mathematical laws. I don't know. Seems to, maybe. Anyways, all these things, but it was like, and then this guy with this precept, why do you trust logic itself? Blah, whatever. So I was like, okay, guy, this Caleb guy, you want to know the foundations of logic? Hey, I did a few videos about that. Here's foundations. Here's what premise means. Here's an intro into informal logic. And here's the burden of proof. And I said something in one of those videos that should answer the question you have. He's like, that's a really big time commitment. That's only 4 hours, all of them together. Could I answer the original question briefly? No, because it's a complicated question. The foundation of logic is pretty easy, though. It's reality. It's that simple. But and he's asking for this argument, and I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. That's he's like, oh, okay, if you mean math order, that's what you mean, then yeah, sure, but that doesn't imply design. So whatever. And I asked him what method he used. Do you think he has one? No, of course not. He just thinks it is designed. He never explains it. I told him it's just burden to show that it is designed by some method, logic, or data. He says all logical and methodological he doesn't ever explain how he knows this. He says it begs design. That's not a methodology. He kept also talking about that the universe Big Bang means explosion, even though it doesn't. So I said, doesn't a balloon explode when you fill it with air? Because you blow it up, right? You blow up a balloon. And he thought that that was an illogical question. Yeah. No, you're not getting it. And I said, I was getting pissed off at this point. I was like, did you read the links I provided? Because I provided all these links that showed that it's not an explosion. And he's like, yeah, I did. And then he quoted directly. So he quoted from one thing that says it's not an explosion, and everything else says or that is an explosion. Everything else says it's not. So here's the quotes again. I'm like, Big Bang wasn't a bang. It's not an explosion. You know, and he's like, I literally quoted the article. Yeah, okay. I quoted more articles. So this guy, he just wants to be dumb. Because it's easy to be dumb. It takes no mental energy to be dumb. But it does take mental energy to learn. And I could be pretty dumb. Oh, yeah, no doubt. But if I'm corrected on something, then I go, okay, let me look into that. Let me see where I went wrong. And then I'll correct myself and stand corrected. I've done it on my channel. Oh, yeah. I've been wrong. I know it's amazing. It's hard to think that I've ever been wrong, but, you know. Presumption of realism. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Some papers are behind paywalls, others aren't. It just depends. But, there's always a way around it. And legal way, of course. I'm sure there might be some other ways I don't know anything about. But, yeah. But it's just learning is difficult. But I think there's another thing going on here beyond just learning new stuff. Because if it were just that, I don't think we would see this sort of idiocracy running around. Yeah, idiocracy movie, of course, but there is the fact that there's a huge psychological burden in the way of learning stuff. If your belief is one that requires you to be afraid of learning in some way, shape, or form, then you definitely aren't going to learn anything. And I know people who will say, it's just, that's what it says. It's true. You're not allowed to question it. It's just real. Of course, it's the only religion that's real. It's the only truth, stuff like this. The Bible says that settles it, that sort of thing. They don't want to think deeply. They don't want to be questioned. There's somebody just said, I heard that somebody had said a thing, so it's kind of hearsay, but they were like, it's just, this is the rule. It's like, well, why? Because it is. That's it. You're not allowed to question it. Oh, okay, cool. That's great. That's real thoughtful there. This is the rule that I've made. Everyone has to follow it. The end. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Why? Not allowed to ask why. Because I said it. Yeah. Okay, well, whatever. What's going on here? Yeah, the minimal maximal waste of the universe. Yeah, I've heard. Well, the yeah. Well, there was a apologetic offered about that I don't remember who did it or said it, but I remember hearing it was, well, God has unlimited resources. So it's okay for God to be wasteful. He's got unlimited resources and power. So it's fine. God can be wasteful. He can make in fact, that God made the universe so big just to show how cool it is, just to be glorious to God. It's like, man, why does God need glory? I don't know. But, this is the apologetics they come up with, I guess. So I always try to put it back to myself and my audience, because it's like it's easy to poke at the believer, and say, you silly, you believe in this superstitious silliness, magical ideas and thoughts and all this. Um, and I had kind of an odd moment where I was at a house and I knew that a couple people one person had died in that house, and I knew that the other person died somewhere else, but still, these two people that had lived in that house were not alive anymore. And I was thinking, where did that person die at? Were they in the bed that I'm in? I'm in this bed, sleeping in this house. Were they in this bed when they died? Should I feel weird about that? Like, it's like maybe if they were just there, yeah, but like, but I was like, I'm not worried that their ghosts are here. Isn't that? I was like, maybe if I like look downstairs, I'll like see a ghost again. Like I used to see ghosts when I was young. What happened? Well, ghosts are afraid of skeptics. Or, well, I never did see ghosts, but I wanted to believe that I saw ghosts. So I would interpret things like beams of light as ghosts or whatever. And I'd be like, ooh, I feel something. That must be a ghost or whatever, And it's just this magical thinking. And it happens, it's kind of a consequence of religious ideas. There are people that legitimately believe that magic tricks done are not illusion, sleight of hand, but are actual magic being performed thanks to demons. Every now and then you'll see these comments like on, Penn and Teller's Fool is, oh, demon possessed. Like, what the hell are you talking about? The shortage of stupidity is in not, we have plenty of stupidity out there. We're not running out anytime soon. But the thing that caused that demon belief was the religion. So I think it's fair to criticize the religion because there isn't a demon. It's just a trick. It's neat that they did a thing that's like, okay, how did they do that? Wow, that surprised me that he did that. Like some of it's like, yeah, I've seen that one, and some of it is like, I've seen that one tons of time, whatever. But the whole point, like with Foolish, is they're trying to fool these two magicians that know all the tricks. So they're going to be shown new stuff a lot of the time. So that it makes it interesting, to them and interesting. Like, are they going to figure it out? So there's all this, kind of thing. And having this sense of like, oh, that's really cool. Like, how did that happen? How did you do that? Because they did something, but you don't know what they did. But it's not real magic. And I was thinking about this day before, whatever it was, because I was listening again to that guy, evidence first guy that he broadcasts for like 6 hours or 2-3 hours. He crazy, he insane, but he'll just talk to people on TikTok nonstop, and he's rude and he's an asshole. He said so himself, And okay, I don't know if that technique is working, but whatever, he's got, so. But the amount of stupid people it's just amazing that call in, and it's like, it's got the thing, evidence of God. That's what I want. And people come in and say, well, can I ask you a question? He's like, no, I don't want your question. Answer mine. What's your evidence of God? Like, what does your question have to do with anything? Nothing. Just give me the evidence. That's all I'm asking for. I'm sitting here asking for evidence and nobody's giving it. It's like it's not a thing. But this one guy said, oh, it's a category error to ask for evidence because, see, God is supernatural. And I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, let's invent a new category called magic. And you can't ask for evidence of it. You can't do any test on it. Now I say something is magical. Now what? How do I know? How do you know it's not magical? How would you prove it isn't magical? Well, but it's up to me to prove that it is, but I can't because there's no evidence. There's no test. It's just magical. That's the category. So the category of supernatural isn't even a category. We've let the religious people have this pretend category for a long, long time. And it's over, man. That category's got to die. It's not even a category. And it's up to us in our various ways of doing things to communicate effectively that the supernatural isn't even considered a category because it can't be demonstrated to be a category. And you might as well have magic be a category. So if magic can be a category, just like supernatural can, then both are disqualified as being actual categories. And somebody can make a more complicated thing about that if they want. I don't know. But at any rate, okay, those are my thoughts, I guess, broadly speaking. So I don't know if anyone learned anything. Demons are afraid of atheists. Yeah, exactly. Demons and ghosts are really afraid of atheists. Let's see. The internet's the Tower of Babel. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Oh yeah. Say, tell me a metaphysical thing that has no predictive quality that we know is real. Yeah, that is one way to approach that. But usually, these the people on the TikTok, they're not smart enough to understand any of those words. That's for sure. That's what I've learned listening to some of that. I can't listen to it too long. It makes my head hurt. I'm like, oh, it's so stupid. Why? All right, back to the skeptic or whatever your label is that you prefer, uh, atheist, non-believer, etc. To bring it home back to us, back to myself, like, okay, what do I need to learn that I have put off? And it's on my computer and it's sitting there, and I read a little bit of it, but I'm like, I got to read this whole thing. And it's on formal logic. And I was like, I'll get to it. And I kept putting it off. And what I think I've realized is I prefer books when I read than to read on screen. I can't read on screen that long. It starts to hurt my brain. So maybe I need to print it. So anyways, but yeah, I got to read it because I want to learn that so that I'm not being dumb. And it's hard, but it's worth it. All right. So hopefully what are you learning now? Or what do you plan on learning? And let me know how that goes. And that's a way to wrap this up, maybe. All right. Take care and do all that and be skeptical or stay skeptical and don't all that later.